Hey, Prosperity Collabs, welcome back. My name's Chris Mueller, and what I do here on this channel is we look at how the top producing real estate agents across the country are doing what they're doing, and how can you apply that to your business. Now, my insight comes from countless interviews with top producing real estate agents here in Southern California. It also comes from my aligning myself with Keller Williams, the #1 real estate brand in the world, and I do a lot of my coaching and consulting here in Southern California out of Keller Williams Temecula. So check out prosperitycollabs.com. You can see the blog, podcast, etc. But into today's episode, we just started a series on what we call the 6 personal perspectives. Now, what this is we've gone through and we've distilled what are the mindsets? What's the perspective of the people who are doing the most, who are having the most success across, every industry? How do they think? What makes them different? Because the truth is, there are some people who just seem to get more out of life. And man, I want to get more out of life. I want my time to count for more. There's one equal thing in this life that we all get, and it's time, right? Every single person gets 24 hours a day. That's it. Now, how many of those days you're going to get? Well, that varies wildly. There are some things you can do to influence that. But the truth is, your hours, well, they are what they are. Right? And so how you use them is what matters. So the 6 personal perspectives. Today, we're going to be talking about self-mastery, right? And self-mastery is one of those things that if you're just looking at it from the outside, you're going to think this means about like being a kung fu master, right? That you could lay in a bed of nails and it wouldn't hurt you, or you could sit in the snow and the snow would melt around you, which would be super cool. Don't get me wrong. But that's not exactly what we're talking about when we talk about commit to self-mastery. The reality is that this business, real estate, is incredibly eye-opening. It's one of those things where you are forced to confront yourself every single day if you're going to be successful. And you're going to become intimately aware of what you're good at and what you're not good at. Now, most people, when confronted with what they're good at and what they're not good at, they tend to lean into what they're good at and try to ignore what they're not good at. Or they get paralyzed by the knowledge that I'm not naturally good at X, Y, or Z, and it stops them from moving forward. And so I've seen this so many times with newer agents. They come into real estate and you look at them and you go, man, this person should be amazing at this. They have what it takes. But then they have to start doing some of the work that asks you to do self-confrontation. They have to start connecting with people. And really, that's it. I mean, for a new real estate agent, what they have to start doing is literally just connecting with people. Now, you'll notice I didn't say lead generation. Connecting with people is lead generation. But for most of us, just having a broad social network and being intentional about that is going to produce phenomenal results. But what happens is they look at their phone and they get that kind of heart starts beating thing. And then they start having all that the mind starts, I haven't talked to that person in a long time. And all the reasons why they can't do it, or it's going to be weird, or all these, and they can't get over that. And so what they do is they immediately then go to the thing that they can do that causes the least self-confrontation. For most people, that's working on their website, or it's working on their social media, or it's doing all of the things where you don't have the ability to have awkward in your life, right? But the top producing real estate agents, they know that if they're going to be successful, they're going to need to have a broad network of connection. They're going to need to have a lot of conversations, a lot of interaction with people. And so rather than running from the things they're not good at, they acknowledge them, they leverage the things they're good at, and then they find the tools, the systems, and models to overcome the things they're not good at. So for instance, I've talked about connection a lot, phone calls, right? And maybe that makes you really nervous, which is weird because we talk to people all day long, but whatever. It makes you nervous to call people intentionally that know you. And so the top producing person would say, I know this makes me nervous. I know this is hard. I know I don't want to do it. So I'm going to find ways to overcome that so that I can become good at it. And so a hack might be they get an accountability partner. They meet with someone every day at 8:30 in the morning or 9. And they sit down with that person and they role play. They do some improvisation. They pretend to call people. And by doing that, they get a little bit more comfortable with it, right? And then they actually go do the work, the confrontational work of being bad at something. But the reality is, if you do this, if you come in every day, if you play pretend, you do your little role play, right? You do your improv, and then you make some calls. Well, if you do that for a couple weeks, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to start to have less resistance. You're going to start to have less fear. You're going to start to have more confidence. And eventually, it's just going to be part of who you are. See, the way I like to think about this is, and I talked about this last episode too, you've been doing this your whole life. I have 6 children, which I know is a lot. We've taught 6 children how to ride their bike, mostly my wife. She's very good at those things. I've witnessed it a lot. And what I've seen is every single one of those kids loved the idea of riding a bike. They loved it. Every single one of those kids hated the reality of learning to ride the bike. It was scary. They were afraid. Don't let go. I'm going to get hurt. But if they stuck with it, and they did, because we made them, then what happened is eventually we took off the training wheels. And that first ride was wobbly and it didn't go very far. But something clicked. And then the next ride was a little bit further. And then the next ride is a little bit further. And the next ride is a little bit further. And suddenly, they're a bike riding person. It is exactly the same with whatever the thing is you need to do in your business to get to the next level. You're not good at it yet. Lead generation. Maybe you're not good at it yet. The only way you're going to get good at it is if you practice it. If you practice it long enough that you become a lead generation type person. Maybe the next thing, the next level in your business is success through people. You need to start hiring. You need to bring on an admin. And guess what? You're not good at it. Unless you've got a background in people management, you're not good at it. Because managing people is not easy. It takes skills. But that's the word I want you to think about. It takes skills. It's something you can learn to do. There's countless resources on it. Here at Keller Williams, we have a program called Career Visioning, where we take you through all of the steps of the interview process. We take you through an assessment that helps you learn about the person. We teach you how to ask the right questions. We teach you how to set up what we call a 30, 60, 90. It's a success plan for a new employee. We teach you how to set up your communication plan. We teach you how to teach them the tools. You learn all those things. And the expectation from me, your coach, your consultant, is you're not going to be good at it at first. And so I'm going to work really closely with you because I know you're on the journey of self-mastery. I know that it's going to be uncomfortable, but I also know there's massive, massive success and freedom on the other side. And so walking with you through that process of defining where you're going to have the leverage, through that process of finding the right candidate, through that process of onboarding that right candidate, through that process of walking away a little bit to let them fly on their own and holding them accountable, I'm going to walk you through that whole process because you're on a journey of self-mastery. But most people, where they fail in this journey of success, is they know they need to take the next logical step. But the next logical step requires new skills. It requires them to learn something. It requires some self-confrontation. So they start, and I've seen this so many times. They'll hire a virtual assistant because they're going to try it, right? Now, if you're telling yourself, I'm going to try something, then you're going to fail. It's true, right? If you're going to try working with an assistant, you're going to fail at it. Because I don't know many lawyers who went to law school and said, I'm going to try to be a lawyer. No, I'm going to law school because I am a lawyer. I don't know many doctors who are like, well, I'm going to try to be a pediatrician. Tell me something. If you're going to a pediatrician and he says, well, I'm trying really hard to be a good pediatrician, I'm going to be like, I'm trying really hard to find someone who's already a good pediatrician. Like my son had cancer, right? If we went to a cancer clinic and they're like, well, we're trying to do our best, I'd be like, not good enough for me. I want people who are doing their best every single day. So if you're hiring a VA because you're going to try to be successful through other people, you're not going to be successful through other people. This is why I encourage when people are hiring that the VA is one way to go, but if you need an assistant to leverage, to give you time back, then you need someone who can read your mind eventually, and it's very hard for a VA to do that. So I'm going to say commit. Hire somebody hourly. Do the work to set it up. Take the chance and commit to it. And then what I'm going to say when you do that is you're going to have to now commit to it's hard, but success is on the other side of hard. Here's a concept I want you to think about in committing to self-mastery. Nothing grows in comfort. Nothing, right? Did you remember when you were growing as a little kid? You got growing pains that hurt, shin splints. It was awful, right? Growing is uncomfortable. Puberty sucks, right? Why? Because you're rapidly growing. Everything is changing. It's uncomfortable, right? Look at eucalyptus trees. Like here in Southern California, you have them all over the place. They grow pretty quick, fast, and their skin rips off. That doesn't look comfortable. If you want to gain muscle, you're going to have to get uncomfortable. If you want to gain cardiovascular, you're going to have to get uncomfortable. Why would your business be any different? You cannot get better unless you're willing to work through the uncomfortable. That's the voyage of self-mastery. It's saying, yes, I want to be good at this. This is the next logical step for me to get to my next place of success. And until I commit to getting through me, I'm not going to be successful at it. So here's what I want you to think about. As you're listening to the podcast, you can pull over to the side of the road or just think about it in your head. What are 3 things that you'd like to achieve? Right? What are 3 things that you like, man, I want to do X? Now, I'm going to ask you to go a little bit deeper on that. So some of you immediately said, I want to sell 50 units or I want to sell 500 units. That's great. Why? Why do you want to do it? Why is it important to you? You might have put down, I want to go on a vacation with my family. Why? Why is it important to you? You might have said, I want to pay off my kids' college. I want them to get through college debt-free. Why? Why is it important to you? The why is important because it tells you, is this something that truly matters? Or is it just a pie-in-the-sky thing? If you can connect something powerful to those whys, then that can fuel you through all of the I don't want to do it, right? Now, in those 3 things, I want you to think about what would stop you. What would stop you from getting to your production benchmark, 50 units, 500 units, wherever you are? What would stop you? What would stop you from taking the family vacation? What would stop you from paying off the kids' college? Great. See, knowing the obstacles is good because if you know that from the outset, then you can say, I know this is what I have to overcome. These are the skills, these are the mindset, this is the practices I will need to adopt to be the kind of person who overcomes that. Because it's not just about doing the work, it's about becoming the person, right? So you might look at 50 units in production and say, well, I could never do that. You're right, you couldn't. Because until you change, nothing changes. We talked about that last time. What's the obstacle? I don't have enough leads. Well, the answer to that's pretty easy. Go get more leads, right? What's the obstacle to taking a family vacation? I don't have enough revenue. Well, great. The answer to that's pretty easy. Go get more revenue, right? All of these things, the answers are fairly simple. Now you boil that down, and we'll talk about this next episode in the 80-20 principle. But if the next thing I need to do is get more leads, then how do I get more leads? Well, I have to do lead generation. Okay. Well, how much lead generation do I need to do? What are the most important things that I can do? Right? And so I just want you to think about that. I'm going to close this up, and I want you to do a little self-work right now. As you're kind of driving down the road or wherever you are listening to the podcast, I want you to think about, what have I been avoiding? What's the thing that I know that if I did this, it would make a difference? My life would improve. Why am I not doing it? What's stopping me from doing it? And once you zero in on that, what I want you to do then is go back and visit that why do you want that we talked about. So that becomes so real, so powerful. And I want you to say, okay, the reason I want this is X. The reason I'm not doing it is X. It makes me uncomfortable, right? Because let's face it, that's what it comes down to most of the time. But I know that if I'm uncomfortable long enough, I'll become comfortable. I'll gain the skills that I need. I'll learn how to do that at a high level. I'll start having success, which will reward me. And so how can I fail fast enough to get there quicker? Right. And I just want to reference real quick the 10,000 hour rule. We know this, right? Like that. And it comes up in Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell, fantastic book if you haven't read that. But the reality is, in order to become excellent at something, it takes 10,000 hours of work. So if I need to generate enough leads to have 50 units a year, and I'm not doing that or I'm uncomfortable with that, then what I need to do now is I need to do the uncomfortable things as quickly and as many times with enough repetition so that I gain the skills so that it's not uncomfortable anymore. Now it's just part of who I am, right? And so that's what I want you to think about. Why do I want to do it? What's stopping me from doing it? And how can I do it then with so much frequency that the things that were stopping me just become silly in my mind? Because I've gotten past that 10,000 hour rule, or I've got to start working on that 10,000 hour rule. So, hey, it's been Chris Mueller with the Prosperity Collabs podcast and Keller Williams Temecula. You know, guys, I do this one-on-one with people all the time, and my consulting group has been growing year over year. We've seen about 34% over the last 12 months. It is one of the joys of my life to take agents from where they are to where they want to be. And that's been helping agents grow teams from one person to a 5-unit team. That's been helping agents pay off debt. That's been helping agents move from a Zillow-based business where they were paying an exorbitant amount for leads that they had to chase with no boundaries in their life to a database-based business where they're making more money at a higher quality of life with more profit in the end. I'd love to do that with you too. So give me a call, or you can find us at prosperitycollabs.com, or you can reach out to me directly, Chris at prosperitycollabs.com. I'll catch you guys next time.